Hi there. Welcome to NewsTalker, the Wick Communications Southern Arizona news talk show. I'm managing editor Matt Hickman with the Herald Review in Sierra Vista, Arizona, and joined today by fellow editors Dan Shearer of the Green Valley News, Manuel Coppola of the Nogales International, and Tom Bodis of the Eastern Arizona Courier. Gentlemen, welcome. How are we doing today?
So far, so good.
It's good to hear.
Beautiful day.
A lot of news all the way around in Southern Arizona. It seems like we can't go a single week or month without having some big legislative issue. With this, it's becoming the border is becoming a hot issue, and that got right into your wheelhouse there, Dan, last week, where you had none other than Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan in your neck of the woods doing another of those official congressional border discussions. Can you tell us a little bit about how that went?
Yeah, it was a meeting of the House Judiciary Committee, and they go out and do these field hearings every now and then. And we've had one a few years ago, and this one was on the border. There were 7 members of Congress here. And what did we learn from them? Not much. It all started with some fun numbers from Jordan, who you mentioned earlier. He fudged on some of the numbers regarding illegal immigrants who have come into the country under President Biden. And it ended with Representative Eli Crane, who represents Northern Arizona. He called President Biden a traitor. So without a doubt, some border policies put out by the Biden administration have greatly increased the number of immigrants in the country, legal and otherwise. But to hear the representatives, which included Representative Juan Ciscomani of District 6, to listen to them, you would think that all of the nation's troubles began 3.5 years ago when Biden took office, and it's just not that clean.
Yeah, and that kind of coincides with the biggest state legislative news, which is they're very close in the legislature to getting HCR 2060 on the ballot, which a lot of people compare to the SB 1070 of more than a decade ago, which was called the Show Me Your Papers Act. It seems like it's very close to getting on the November ballot. There was one holdout in the Senate last week that held it back for concerns about Dreamers. Is that being part of it? What is everyone seeing around here? Is there much talk in your community among leaders or just among readers about this issue and what it's like to bring the SB 1070 conversation back again? Manuel, what are you seeing down in Nogales?
There's not a lot of chatter down here about it, actually. I think we're focused on other things. There's a lot of local politics going on, but it is definitely something that people need to wake up to because it's becoming a real possibility. Who knows how the voters will vote?
And Tom, what do you have a feel for? Are people in Graham County, Greenlee County, are they generally supportive of this idea? Are they of basically the issue is?
Around here that there's probably a widespread support for it, but I'm not sure that it's going to do any. Even if it passes this fall, it still has to get through the courts, and the last one didn't, and Texas's didn't, and I don't see. I just think we're wasting a lot of time on something that can accomplish very little in the long run.
Yeah, I spoke earlier today with Representative Ciscomani and Clea McCaw, the mayor of Sierra Vista, and they were both opposed to the very idea of the state taking over what they consider to be an undeniably federal border and federal problem. Mayor McCaw pointed out his conversations with Sheriff Mark Daniels in Cochise County that there just simply isn't enough resources, certainly not enough jail space for the sheriffs or for municipalities to start arresting and jailing people. So it's really kind of a non-starter as far as they're concerned. But Dan, what are you seeing in Green Valley area? What's the mood like? And do you think there'd be general support for something like this there if it got on the ballot?
Well, the first thing you should do when you're considering legislation like this, or in this case, a concurrent resolution, is to talk to the police and the sheriff's deputies you mentioned, and I'll bet what you're going to hear is that they have no desire to be federal agents enforcing immigration law. We have gone through this a few times since SB 1070, and if we press them into service, local policing efforts are going to be affected. We all know it's very tough to recruit police officers and deputies these days, and now you want them to go do that. But the next thing is to ask the obvious question: how are you going to know if somebody entered Arizona other than at an official port of entry? How are you going to know that? And that's what this resolution would call for. Everybody wants a more secure border, but this is not going to do it.
Yeah, absolutely. Let's shift gears a little bit more to our localities. We've got Tom out in eastern Arizona. We've got Manuel down there in Nogales on the border of Rio Rico, that area, and Dan is in Sahuarita, Green Valley. Kind of very different. They're all very different kinds of places. Why don't we go around the horn a little bit and talk a little bit about what's going on there, especially in terms of political campaigns, how they're shaping up in your neck of the woods. I'm going to kick that off for us there, Manuel.
If you're talking about the local campaigns, we're looking forward to interviewing 28 candidates at the local level, which is certainly a record here. We've got hotly contested sheriffs, board of supervisors, justice of the peace, and so on. And so, yeah, they're very animated. As I said before, people are animated about this, the local situation, and I think this this measure being floated in the legislature, to us, I think it's become white noise. Here we go again type of thing. I can almost assure you that local law enforcement does not support it. And so it'll be interesting to see how this progresses. As Tom says, there's a long road to hoe.
As far as you mentioned a hot sheriff's race, I'm not sure about who your incumbent is there if they're running again, but is there a conflict between the candidates on that over this issue of state enforcement of federal borders?
I haven't heard any. We haven't done our forum or interviews yet. I haven't heard anybody launch any kind of firm flat platform on that. But yeah, it's just a lot of candidates for the one position. I think there's like 6.
And Dan, what's happening out in your neck of the woods?
Well, we had a little warning for anybody who is considering running for office. We had a couple of candidates for our town council race who were disqualified after their signatures were challenged. We did have 6 candidates for 4 seats. Now we have 4 candidates for 4 seats. And these 2 candidates were new to the process, and they didn't realize that if you are required to collect 100 signatures, you need to collect 130 at least. 30% more. And on the state level, we've been seeing some of this too. So mid-April was the deadline for challenging signatures. And we saw a lot of people either walk off the ballot or be removed from the ballot because they simply didn't have enough. And I know at least one candidate up in the Phoenix area is being investigated for scribbling out 100 signatures on a petition. At least that's what it appears to be.
Yeah, that the ballot, getting the signatures was obviously a big issue here in Cochise County, where our incumbent county attorney, Brian McIntyre, was supposed to get 573, and he got 700 some odd, but they were challenged. And, anytime you challenge it, some are going to be knocked off. He ends up getting knocked off the ballot. There was nobody running against him, but since he's been eliminated, there have been now 3, and there may even be more coming who have signed up as write-in candidates. 1 Democrat, 1 Independent, 1 Republican. So all these people that didn't want to run against him are now coming out of the woodwork now that he's out of the way. And from talking to a lot of these people, you get the impression that there is this sort of feeling like you can't beat an incumbent in a lot of these races, so why even try? Right. But once he's gone, all these people start jumping out of the woodwork. And in fact, we're partnering with the Cochise County Bar Association on June 10th at Cochise College. I'll be moderating a debate of the judicial candidates and the county attorney case. So everybody wants to, that will likely be live streaming that. So you want to check into myheraldreview.com for that when that happens. The other, also in Cochise County, endorsements are becoming a big deal, especially in the Livewire case around Board of Supervisors District 1, which encompasses Sierra Vista, where Tom Crosby, the incumbent, who's also currently facing state indictment, is running against, in a primary against local businessman Clint Briseño. Briseño has received a number of endorsements from law enforcement, from the sheriff's department, union, and local police. So they're definitely getting behind him in that primary. I'm wondering, out where you guys are you seeing a lot of endorsements yet from organizations, and are there any that are especially coveted, Tom?
I haven't really seen too much yet. We don't have that many contested elections. The big one is there's a couple out in Greenlee. One is the sheriff's race. There's 4 people in that race, and I think there's like 3 people involved in one of the supervisors' races. But by and large, most of the races are unopposed, so the whole endorsement thing hasn't been an issue. This city council race here could get a little interesting because, as you may know, we had our mayor pass away earlier this year, and so that seat opened up. So there's a lot of people vying for that. But so far, it's pretty calm. I haven't seen, people getting too wound up yet. I'm going to be interested in seeing what actually some of the smaller races are later when they start doing school boards and stuff like that, because there's a few of those that could get interesting. But I haven't heard a lot of buzz one way or the other. And honestly, this week we've been concerned with wildfires and gunfire, so we're kind of preoccupied.
We're trying something different here with the multitude of candidates and the general atmosphere. And I want to get your guys' take on it. So what we decided to do is we're going to take each candidate from 4 races, and we're going to interview them and video record them and then upload them to YouTube. We're going to have a panel of 7 people. We're going to have set questions for all of them that will not be revealed until the day of the interview. And the panel will be scoring each candidate. Then we'll upload it to our YouTube channels and not Facebook, but our websites, and just let the people decide. Our forums down here have gotten quite contentious sometimes, and we believe there's potential for even more of that this election cycle. Dan, what do you think? We've done those live ones together on a number of occasions.
I've been in your area, and I've seen the contentious ones and been a part of them. And I will tell you, what people love is hearing from the candidate themselves, not edited, just boom. So I love the idea of the video. My question would be, when you score them, do people really care what we think or how we might endorse? And we have, as a newspaper company, talked about this. What value do endorsements have? And so I think that's a real big question. But to allow people to see these candidates, ask them pointed questions from people who know what's going on in the community, I think is very important. So I applaud you for that. I think it's a very good move.
Oh, thanks.
Yeah, it's interesting too. I maybe we could go around the horn. This kind of almost seems like an internal conversation, but I think it's worth sharing. Is like, do you plan on doing endorsements at any point, or something where it is almost like a reader's choice? And kind of which has, which way is, how much value do you think endorsements still have from media companies?
I don't know. The last guy I endorsed ended up getting arrested in City Hall and hauled off to jail. So I quit doing that.
That's half the people who run for office in your area, but I'll just leave that one. Well, I'll tell you that when I joined this company 15 years ago, I believe that ours was the only newspaper, and we have roughly 30, that did not endorse. And I kept that going. And now I believe we might have nobody endorsing, or maybe just a paper or 2. And here's part of the reason is that our staffs have diminished so much that who really is your editorial board? It might be your publisher, it might be your editor, but it's really not big and varied like it used to be. And really, I think there have been studies and analyses that show that people probably don't value them that much from a newspaper. What they do value is our access to the candidates and asking questions that matter to our readers.
Which then follows up, what about a Reader's Choice Award? Like I've thought about maybe we take a vote and we kind of like what Manuel's talking about. And maybe I really like the video idea too. And then letting them vote and then publishing it almost like here's what our readers think. Quasi endorsement.
Well, isn't that
Yeah,
what elections are for?
Yeah.
There's a sneak peek.
These things, they're going to stuff the ballot box. I tell you, anything they can do. So, but I think people do value, again, our access and asking the right questions. So that's what we're sticking to.
All right. Well, fantastic talk, everybody. I think our time is just about up. Great to see you guys and good conversation. And let's keep in touch and get back here for episode 3 of NewsTalker.